Welcome back to MurrayMax. We got another clip from the Whatever podcast. As usual, I haven't watched this. You're probably getting tired of me saying that. But we're going to watch it together. And this one, the context of it is the girl in the animal print is trying to claim that white people can't suffer from racism. And she's about to get checked by the girl in the white dress with the cherries on it. So let's have a look-see and see what we got.
If you're talking about a white person, people can't be racist to white people.
Okay, so hold on. Before we have people jump in, does anybody agree with her first?
No.
Oh, you agree?
To a certain degree. Okay, let me say to a certain degree. Systematically speaking, you can't.
Wait, systematically you
okay,
can't?
like think about it like this. White people. When have white people been oppressed? So up to certain.
The word slave comes from the Slavic people. That's where the word slave comes from.
Yeah.
White people were the first people to be enslaved, and white people. There's way more white people that have been enslaved in history than black people.
Well, hold on there. I don't know if there's been more white people enslaved than black people, because slavery on the African continent, slavery in the Middle East, that's been going on for a long, long time. I understand what she's saying. She's making a good point that, white people have definitely been enslaved, and the word slave does come from the word Slav, as in the Slavic peoples. There were the Barbary slave trades. There were other slave trades even throughout Europe, with even whites enslaving whites. But to say that white people have never been oppressed is so insane, considering that it still even happens to this day. We just don't talk about it. There's plenty of places where white Christians are oppressed, and people look around in America and things and they say, well, I don't see it, so that's absurd. There's Christians that are executed every single day, and not all of them are white, but just from a historical standpoint, she's 100% right. Whites have definitely been oppressed. The origins of even the word slavery comes from whites being enslaved. But if you grow up in the Western world, your public education will teach you almost like the absurdity that there everybody was minding their own business when these big bad Europeans came down and basically just captured people, and it's like, that's not the truth at all. In fact, most of the slaves from the transatlantic slave trade went to South America and places outside of North America. But anyways, let me know in the comments what you think about the history of slave trade, and I'm going to get back to this video.
Hands down.
Okay, so you're saying like Jewish people, Slavic.
Yeah, anybody who's considered white or lighter skinned, there's been way more white people enslaved than black people ever.
Okay, well then I would say. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and when we think about why were black people enslaved, who sold them to Americans, their own people,
who still has slavery?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Africa still has slavery today.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and so.
Yeah, even today, as we sit here watching this video, there's more than 800,000 child slaves, just child slaves, on the Ivory Coast of Africa alone.
Technically, slavery is not a skin color; it applies to people.
Plus, I wanted to just clarify something. Is that enslaving people? It doesn't have to be about race. Like, you can enslave a bunch of dwarves; it wouldn't be racist.
Yeah, black people.
That's a really dumb example. You could enslave a bunch of dwarves. If you want to make the argument for it doesn't have to be different races, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't understand the history of even the American region of the world. Native American tribes definitely enslaved other Native American tribes. It happened over and over and over. There's mass graves. There's historical accounts of it. There was certain tribes like the Apache or the Cherokee that just decimated other tribes and enslaved many of their people. And it's not just Native Americans, but I'm speaking from, a part of the United States where there's lots of Indian reservations, and it is part of the history of where I live. So we're familiar with it.
Enslaved because they're black.
So
they were available.
Right.
I mean, that sounds horrible,
So it
but
brings up
that's
the
just the
question:
truth.
what is racism? Isn't it, someone define it, because they keep changing the definition.
Where you think your race is superior to another,
or inferior.
Yes,
you can say your own race is inferior.
Yes, but if I say and you're like, I'm addressing this question to you. If I say I hate white people, is that racist?
I think it's prejudice.
If I say I hate black people, is that racist?
I think it depends on what race you're. I mean, somebody bring up the definition of racism.
Well, it's thinking
problem
that
with
your race
mental
is superior
gymnastics.
to someone's, or that your race
based on race alone.
or that somebody else's race, is superior
because race is
to
skin
yours
color.
for whatever reason.
That's all it is.
because like prejudice is like racism is prejudice against race.
Right.
So, I mean, you can say it's prejudice, but it's like, it's still racism because you're saying like, well, I hate all black people or I hate all white
I actually
people
would make even a
because-
further distinction there. I think you could be prejudiced against all sorts of people
You can.
and it not be a fully racist position.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because we can prejudge based on particulars that we gather to generalities. And you can prejudge for a variety of reasons, and that's actually a form of us navigating the world in a lot of senses. Like, anyone have kids here? Mm-hmm. I mean, the things they come home and say based in school is like,
Yeah.
it would be seen as taboo, but yet they're just describing a generality. And so the racism thing has really gotten out of control because the strictest form of racism would just be this assumption that there's superiority or inferiority only based on race, not based on a collection of behaviors even, right?
I don't know about you guys, but me, I'm white, and I see some white people and I think, oh, you're so white trash, and like that's just an observation. I don't dislike white people. There's just certain people who behave certain ways that make me go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing that. And there is kind of like an affiliation to a certain collection of people within my own race even that engage in behaviors that I don't want any part of. And I feel like most races feel that way, whether it's for the better or the worse. Let me know in the comments what you think about that.
Just race alone, just the distinction race. But because of that, that distinction, that definition has changed so much in the last 100 years, people think that any sort of judgment about any race that's negative is racism, but that's not the case. Like, you can just not like things about people's culture, right? Be like, I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't prefer that culture. How could that possibly be racist? So when you say white people can't be racist, that's why it was a great question from you. When you say, I don't like, I hate white people, is that racist? She says no. If you say, I hate black people, is it racist? You were about to say yes, but you caught yourself and you said, wait a second. There's an inconsistency here.
Yeah,
And I
did a
feel-
whole YouTube video on this, like asking people, can black people be racist, or can only white people be racist? And most of them were saying like, yeah, it's because racism is because you're in a position of power. It's like, no, you can just hate people. Like, people just hated Jews because they're Jewish.
Yeah.
And
And
it
I-
was nothing about like, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
You're
didn't
fine.
mean to- I feel like it was really interesting when you said like it was prejudice for white people, but then it'd be racist. And I feel like that comes into play because I feel like in this country specifically, because of our history with racism and how horribly black people were treated back in all those times, I feel like in today's age, a lot of white people feel guilty about everything that happened, that the guilt kind of comes into play, so you won't accept that you can have racism against white people because it almost feels like you're going against black people, almost like
Here,
right.
well, let's have you actually state your position.
I mean, the only reason, white people aren't suppressed like black people are, and different.
I'm suppressed. I'm oppressed.
I
and Jim
I mean,
Bob.
with DEI recently, where like these companies and these schools
I'm left-handed.
are literally making sure that they bring in
Yeah,
a certain
I'm
amount
lefty.
of black
That
people, a
sucks.
certain amount of Asian
Terrible.
people, like people from other countries, and not letting white people in. I mean, we've seen that I know that at Fordham University, which is in New York City, they had a whole issue with that in the past few years, where they were purposely making sure to like give scholarships to a certain number of black students just because they wanted their university to be more diverse. And it's like, you should be judged on how well you do in school to get into a school, especially like Fordham. It's very expensive, it's very prestigious, it's a private school, like not just because you want to make your school more diverse. Like,
And even prestigious schools like Harvard lost that court case. They were requiring white students and Asian students. Asian students actually had it the worst. They were required to test significantly higher. I think it was like 200 points higher on the SAT than someone who was trying to go to the school that was of a different race. And that's not what the school should be about. Like, if you want to say your school is for the best and the brightest, you should gauge people and accept them based off of their best and brightest attributes that they have academically. not just, gender and race checkboxes. And there's also another consequence of that is there's a rise in students of certain races who are dropping out and failing classes at a higher rate. Well, I mean, obviously, you're taking complex courses and you shouldn't have been there in the first place. And someone who tested higher than you wasn't allowed entry because the leftist gatekeepers of the schools would never have it, because they wanted to check their DEI boxes. They lost the court cases. There's even a pending issue right now where Harvard's not going to be getting federal funding. Trump is shutting that off because they're in direct violation of federal law in issues like this and other issues related to it. But these are also the same, like Harvard's the same university that gave Jeffrey Epstein his own private office on campus after he had already been in legal trouble. So, I mean, let me know in the comments what you think about Harvard.
That is racism right there to me. I believe DEI is racist.
Can you give an example of the black people in America right now being, would you say, oppressed?
So, I mean, white people have more advantages.
Like in the law or just like socially?
In general, socially, economically.
Can you give an
example? She doesn't even know what she's saying. She's just yapping.
Is it that more white families choose to stay together?
No, it's poverty. Look at most of the black neighborhoods. It's poverty. It's the crime.
What causes poverty,
why
though?
is there so much crime in black neighborhoods?
Because they're not given the same advantages white people are given.
No, it's because, like Lily was saying, that these families are not together, and when, your parents don't stay together, you're more likely to get involved.
Just say it. Dads aren't in the households. Statistically speaking, without a dad in the household, you're way more likely to end up in prison. You're way more likely to end up in teen pregnancy. You're way more likely to, can't say the word, but you know what I'm talking about, where you end yourself. You're way more likely for all of these different things without a father in the home. The destruction of the nuclear family, you can blame that on many things, but the reality is there's fathers missing in homes, and it's never been more prevalent in any group outside of specific ones being mentioned here. I'm always trying to be careful about what I say on YouTube because we all know YouTube, but let me know in the comments what you think about that.
Crime, and the reason that these neighborhoods, these black and minority neighborhoods, are more police, it's because black men are, what are they, like 13% of the population, maybe even less than that, 6% of the population, something like that, yet they commit over 50% of the murders in this country.
Well, and also
of course they're going to be more policed in those areas where there's more crime.
And I think up to 70% of black children are born without a father in the home as well.
Yeah.
And we know from our previous discussion that is one of the biggest determining factors for the success of a person and a community, because before the Civil Rights Act and the welfare state was built, the black community was thriving. I mean, the Uncle Tom movies literally talk about how these communities were so great, and they were based around the church, and most families were staying together.
They owned more businesses too.
Yeah. Right.
That is 100% true, and it's really worth going and looking up the statistics about that. It's not a simple answer to it, but I know that one of the biggest contributing factors definitely is the fact that fathers are not in the home like they used to be. That's just the biggest impact, in my opinion. That's not an objective truth. That's just with what I've seen. I can attest to that, and that's also me saying that as a dad with children. So my kids are doing just great. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to make some more videos. Feel free to give some critiques and comments down below. If you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you'd like, trying to grow this channel. Thanks for tuning in to MurrayMax.